Welcome back to Spookins, a place to talk about all things horror. I'm Sarah.
I'm Sam.
And today we're going to be talking about Nosferatu 2024, which we finally saw last night. It has been out for quite some time, but we've just been busy. It came out over the festive period.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went back to work and
Unfortunately.
we just haven't seen it yet. But we saw it finally last night and we had a few thoughts on it. So we thought we'd just snap a quick review.
Yeah, come and share those thoughts with you.
Yeah. So Nosferatu, I thought we could start. We're gonna do this quite informally. So I've got notes on my phone because I can't remember everything that I thought about this film and everything that I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So we both will be looking down at our phones. I thought of a few headings and we'll just kind of go through them one by one.
Yeah.
So my first heading, what is it? Nosferatu is a 2024 movie by Robert Eggers, who also did The Northman, The Witch or The Vivitch, and also The Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen The Witch and I've seen The Northman. I quite like Robert Eggers. I like his style. It's quite distinct. I haven't seen The Lighthouse, but it is on my list.
Mm-hmm.
He tends to work with the same actors. So Willem Dafoe's in The Lighthouse as well. Actually, no, not all Skarsgårds are the same, but there is a Skarsgård in the
same
Northman.
actors or their family members. Yeah.
All their families.
Yeah.
And it is I don't know if to call it a remake is fair. But I'm going to call it a remake for the purposes of this. A remake of the 1922 German silent film, also called Nosferatu, which in itself is an unlicensed adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which has been adapted many, many, many times. I haven't really seen that many of them. I really like Dracula, really like the story, really like the book, but I haven't really watched that many adaptations apart from the classic music one. Other than that, I've just not really seen much Dracula media. So that's kind of what it is. It's basically Dracula, with the names changed and some differences in plot here and there. I can't really compare it to the original Nosferatu movie because, as I said, neither of us have seen it.
No.
I can only compare it to the Dracula story to say that there's some changes in the plot of that. So that's what it is. Now we'll talk about performances. There's so many good performances in this movie. There are. I'm going to ask you who your favourite is, but you're not allowed to say Bill. No, because Bill has his own section.
Okay, that's fine. I had a couple that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
My favourite, if that is the question, I probably have to give it to Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah, she was great.
Thought she just did an incredible job, and just the way she played the character just played so well off of Bill Skarsgård's Orlok.
Yeah.
And like the characters are so different and they're played so differently. Like one is mainly through facial expression and like voice, and then the other is just so physically dominant of the stage. Like whenever this is Lily Rose Depp, whenever she's on the screen, you just cannot help but look at her. She just supplies just this energy that is like the only energetic thing in this movie as well. But she just kind of throws it all out there and it's enough just for the whole movie. So I thought she was great, but I also wanted to mention, because I had this weird thing earlier where I was thinking about this Nicholas Hoult. And Nicholas Hoult has this weird place as an actor in my heart where if I see his naming something, I'm like fairly excited to go and see it. Like I definitely will go and see it because I know he's going to be really good. But he's never like the standout performer. I never come out of a movie thinking, Nicholas Hoult was like carried that, or he's just this like great team player, and he's never quite the star. And I feel like we need to shout out Nicholas Hoult, who again is really good in this movie, but it's not quite the star.
No, I mean he did have the starring role in another Dracula.
He did in Renfield,
movie
yeah.
in Renfield, but I know what you mean, because even in the film where he was the star,
Yeah.
he didn't stand out
No.
because he was unfortunate to be cast with Nicolas Cage, who chews scenery and just steals every scene in that film that he's in.
But yeah, but like, I don't want that to sound like
No.
I'm dissing Nicholas Hoult. Like, I really, really like Nicholas Hoult, but he just seems to fall into this category
Yeah.
where he's never quite the finisher. He's like
Always the bridesmaid.
yeah,
never the
exactly.
bride.
That's the saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Nicholas Hoult performance. I totally agree. He wasn't the standout, but I think that he did the fear and the kind of helplessness really well.
Yeah.
Especially in the scenes in the beginning in the castle.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try and keep it relatively spoiler free
Yeah.
until we start talking specifically about plot.
We will put a spoiler warning in the video so that if you want to stop listening at that point, obviously it's more than welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, at the beginning in the castle, he does fear and helplessness really well. He's really good foil to Orlok as well. I keep going to say Nosferatu. That's not his name.
No.
It's Count Orlok.
Yeah.
He's a really good foil to Orlok, because Orlok is just so like dominant and powerful. Doesn't really need to move his body very much.
Yeah.
Although he does kind of just teleport. You don't see that, so it looks like he's always very calm and collected. Against Nicholas Holt's a bit more panicked and frantic, and I think it's kind of what you were saying as well about that juxtaposition with Lily Rose Depp's performance. He's so calm and stoic at all times, and Lily Rose Depp's is more expressive. It's very physical. I would agree with your kind of what you were saying about Lily Rose Depp. It's so good. It's so physical, and like just some of the things she was doing. We were listening to another podcast talking about Nosferatu last night, and they said that there was no CGI.
No, so everything she does in this film, if you go and see it or have seen it, everything you see of her performance is literal, is her doing it with no help, no computer graphics or anything. So there's bits where she's like shaking her body, like faster than the camera can even pick up.
Yeah.
And she's just doing it. She's just going for it. Like, it's such commitment to a role. It's unbelievable.
It's so good. I've not really seen her in very much. Like, I'm aware of who she is, but I've never seen her in anything, and I think I would, going forward, if I saw her name come up in like a horror franchise, I would think, oh, sick, okay, I'll go and see that.
Absolutely would.
So she was great.
She was. Just staying on her just for a second, the chemistry, like, it's more the two of them, but it's the chemistry as well that she manages to build with Bill Skarsgård, like, through these layers of prosthetics. I just thought it was so good. Like, I don't understand how this movie can be like sexy and romantic, but they somehow managed to do it.
I think we'll come on to that in a minute. I slightly disagree with you there, because I don't find this movie very sexy, but I can see why people would find it sexy. It's framed sexy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
We'll come on to that when we start talking about the plot, because I don't want to spoil parts for people that are in the spoiler-free zone. Any other performances you wanted to mention?
I didn't have any down. I don't know. There's the guy, I didn't look up his name because it's just come to me now, and I'm sorry. But who plays Orlok's, the guy who like summons him, basically. The
Renfield character. I looked him up.
He was
yesterday.
Great. He's not in it a lot. He's not a lot of screen time. But what you see of him, he's a really good.
He is
plays
good.
a really good character.
I'll tell you who he's not. He's not David Thewlis, and I was convinced it was David Thewlis. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, sick! Lupin's in this movie." And then when I watched the movie and I heard the voice, I was like, "Oh, confirmed! Lupin's in this movie." That's not him.
No, it's not him.
It's someone else completely.
But yeah, I unfortunately couldn't tell you who he is.
I think his name is Simon something,
okay.
but I can't remember it. Sorry. a performance I wanted to bring up, and it's not one I particularly enjoyed, is Aaron Taylor
Yeah.
Johnson. I normally really enjoy his performances. I've kind of loved him since he did Chat Room. I think he's really good in that film. I think he's a really good actor. He's amazing in Bullet Train.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But he suits the style of that film, whereas every time he opened his mouth, I was pulled out of the movie. I was like, this man is in 2024. This is not, I'm not sure when this movie's set, but this is not whatever time period we're supposed to be in. This is 2024, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, Cockney geezer, is speaking to me.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate performance amongst all the great ones around him as well. I think it really makes him stand out a bit more.
It does really. It really stands out.
Yeah, you are right in that it pulls you out of the movie a few times, which is really unfortunate because I really like the movie overall.
Yeah, I really like the movie. And it's actually devastates me to say this, but I also feel the same about Willem Dafoe. And it's the first time I've ever watched a Willem Dafoe performance and been like, oh, that was too much Willem Dafoe. He pulled me out of the movie as well. He felt like it was it's a very solemn, very kind of like serious tone. And then he acted it well. I just don't know that character, because I suppose he's supposed to be the Van Helsing character. And I don't know, he just didn't, it was just too much.
Yeah, I didn't, I wasn't pulled out of the film by Willem Dafoe at any point. So I wouldn't say that. I thought you found a pretty good middle ground between being Willem Dafoe, but also being in this movie. So I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, fair enough. We can agree to
Yeah, there we
disagree,
go.
differing opinions. It's a great ensemble cast.
It is.
And of course, at the centre of that is Bill Skarsgård's Count Orlok.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like, I know that it's super divisive. The aesthetic, the look, the voice, very divisive, but it worked for me. It really worked for me.
Absolutely. I think this is the best that I've seen him. It's the best character work that I've seen from anyone for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, you really just wouldn't know it's him.
No, when we were watching it, I turned to you and I said, "Oh, I thought this was Bill Skarsgård, but now I'm not so sure. I don't think it is."
No, they've just cast Count Orlok in this movie.
Yeah.
Playing himself.
Yeah. And I watched the whole movie being like, do I have that wrong? Is it not Bill Skarsgård? Because that's definitely not Bill Skarsgård. But it is. It just transforms.
He is.
For the role.
So much of this movie as well is performed just through vocal work.
Yeah.
And through eyes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shots that you get just close up on Bill Skarsgård's eyes, and it just does wonders.
Yeah.
Like, it's just unbelievable. You just constantly like get that dread. I don't know. I felt every single scene he was in, for every second of the film, I was just constantly unsettled within myself while he was on the screen and speaking, especially.
Yeah, it was really horrifying, and I think that's the entire cast was really good at getting the horror across.
Yeah,
but particularly Orlok, he was scary. Like, I haven't gone into a horror movie and actually been like, okay, this villain is scary, and he doesn't actually do very much to scare you.
No,
there's a couple jump scares in this movie. They're like fine, like the first one.
The first jump scare is great. And then there's only there's probably one or two more maybe throughout,
and they don't really involve him.
No.
But he is really scary. It's his presence. 100%. Sorry, Bill Skarsgård, but you're a creepy guy. Like, you're a creepy guy.
You're a creepy guy, and this proves it.
This is why you got cast in Barbarian. You're a creepy guy. He's just amazing, and he has such a presence even when he's not the main focus. Like I know you particularly like that scene with the curtains.
Yeah. There's one shot in this movie basically where Lily Rose Depp's character, is it Ellen?
I think it's Ellen.
Ellen is looking out a window, and the window's open, and the curtain's blowing in the window, and you kind of just catch glimpses of his like silhouette, but only when the curtain blows in a certain way, and it's just a beautifully shot thing, but it's creepy as.
It's really creepy.
It's so creepy.
It's really creepy. And yeah, he just manages to be so creepy with so little. I know a lot of people, and we'll come on to this again in a bit because as I mentioned earlier, I know a lot of people find Orlok sexy. People are a bit thirsty for Orlok. Not me, boss.
No. No, from what I said earlier, I don't find Orlok sexy. I don't really find any of the characters sexy. I just thought the movie kind of had this weird, sexy undertone. It does,
yeah. There's a lot of
and it kind of drew me in at points.
I don't find him that sexy, but I do like that moustache.
Yeah, it's a good moustache.
I like the design of the character. Alert. Yeah. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Orlok has a moustache.
Yeah. It's it's gone for like a more historically accurate noble gent of the time look by giving him this.
I don't really know that era of
moustache but yeah, I think it works really well. I like the look.
I like the look too. It keeps the kind of it looks very different from the original Nosferatu, but it maintains the same aura.
Mm-hmm. You still get what we were listening to last night, where they were talking about how even with such a different actual look, they managed to keep the silhouette the same.
Yeah, you get the same shape. But I say I've not seen Nosferatu, but I am aware of it, like the original. I am aware of it. I know what the character looks like, and I just think this one. I don't think it's a very controversial hot take. I think this one's better.
Having not seen it, I would have to agree.
Yeah. So we kind of started talking about it. So we'll move on to cinematography now. That one with the curtains is one of my favorite scenes.
It's a lovely shot.
It's really beautifully shot, and I mean, that's kind of what you expect from
Eggers,
Eggers movie. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to look incredible. What I found quite interesting was it transitions between color and black and white, but I didn't find it that jarring. And there were points where it was black and white, whereas I kind of was like, was the rest of the movie in color? I couldn't remember. The transition was so smooth.
Until you just said that, I wouldn't have been able to tell you there were black and white moments in this movie.
Yeah, so it goes between the two, and they just both look beautiful, really. And so it's not that jarring. Some of my favorite shots are when they're overlooking the city. So there's one where Orlok's hand is reaching across the city, and that's a really nice shot. That's a black and white shot.
That is a black and white shot, yeah. But that's the big trailer shot. We get that one in the trailer, but it's a really beautiful shot. So I'm not surprised they put it in there.
Yeah, it is a really beautiful shot. And another black and I think I really liked all the black and white stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a scene towards the end where Ellen is standing at a window, and the window is open, and it's set from the outside. That's all I can say without kind of spoiling it, because it's a big plot moment. But that is a really, really pretty shot. I mean, it's not massively big brain energy to say that an Eggers movie looked great.
No, but when they do, you still need to say it, because you can't just stop giving credit to someone because you do it all the time. Like, if it's really good, it's really good.
No. Did you have anything else on the cinematography?
I really liked that through this whole movie, probably like 90% of the scene transitions with something walking directly across the camera, and it just so smoothly throws from scene to scene, and then just kind of when they need it in the plot or when they need it for a moment and the tension in the movie, you'll get a sharp cut. And it
Yeah.
just really kind of brings your focus to it, and you're like, oh wow, like I was just been kind of flowing through this movie all nice and clean, and then all of
And
a
I'm like,
sudden there's
whoa.
just a jump, and you're well,
Yeah.
and I just thought that was brilliantly done as well.
Yeah, the editing's really well done in this movie. I think my favorite jarring shot is the one of the jump scares. I keep forgetting that we're going to keep it spoiler free. Is one of the jump scares. I think it's just so well done. The editing on this film's great, as well as the cinematography.
Yeah,
It sounds like we're being paid to talk about this film because
it does. I just thought it was great.
we've only said one negative thing so far.
Yeah, he's not the guy paying us.
Yeah,
Aaron Taylor Johnson not giving us any money for this. So
he didn't pay, so he he gets the only negative thing we've said about this movie. To be fair, it's one of the only things I said to you as we came out of the cinema. I gave that a 9 out of 10. I couldn't give it a 10 in good conscience because Aaron Taylor Johnson took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed everything else. I want to talk now about sound because it was interesting that we were talking about sound on the way home. I barely noticed the score, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
Absolutely
I always
not.
think that the best scores should go unnoticed unless it's kind of a big moment of emotion. I think it should enrich the scene without stealing the scene.
Yeah, without distracting from it. Yeah, and it totally does that at all points. I think I would like to go through and watch this movie again and kind of listen for it a little more, because I absolutely knew it was there, and there were moments where I was like, oh, that was a tasty little like whatever. But yeah, at no point was I like, oh, I could do with this music being a little bit.
Turn it down.
Yeah.
I think it's what the score really adds to the atmosphere. There's one scene I'm thinking of in particular where it's another jump scare, and whilst the score is good, I didn't love the scene because it's a bit of a false jump scare, and I thought it was a bit. I don't know what the word is. It didn't belong in that movie. Do you know what I mean? There's a jump scare that's not. It's a false scare basically. But the sound, the score, great during that scene. Even in moments where I thought, oh, I don't absolutely love this, the score was great and it sounded really good. Well, I can't wait to get onto the spoiler bit so I can actually say what I mean. Okay. Oh, we're there. We're there.
We're there. Yeah, we're
there,
done now.
baby.
There we go.
All right. So from here on in, we are going to be talking about the plot. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know what happens, see you later. Pause.
Thank you for watching for this point.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Subscribe
see you later.
before you leave.
I would actually really recommend that you watch the movie before.
Absolutely.
I know it is literally just the story of Dracula. So if you have read the book, if you've seen any of the movies, you kind of know what's coming. But it's things outside of particular plot details that I want to talk about. And I think that you should see the movie for yourself before you watch the rest of this video.
Great advice.
Yeah, I know. So in terms of the plot, as I just mentioned, it literally is the story of Dracula. But I don't think it's useful for purposes of review or for our enjoyment of the movie to compare it to Dracula.
No.
Because you don't need to. I think it's different enough. It's entirely different. I don't know how to say it's literally the same story, but it's also a completely different story. Vibes-wise, it's a different story. It goes from A to B to C, as Dracula does.
Yeah.
The vibe is completely different. So, as I say, it adds elements and layers that aren't present in Dracula that I really enjoyed. And I think there's a big theme of, like, sexuality in this film.
There absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really, really horny movie.
It's a very horny movie. It's not like too horny though.
It's not too explicit.
Yeah, no, it's not explicit at all, really.
But there's a few nudies.
There
nudie
are.
shots.
There's some full frontal.
Yeah, but I would say it's more the undertones and the themes in the movie are of a sexual nature.
Yeah.
we were talking earlier about whether Count Orlok is sexy, whether the movie is sexy, and I can see why people would think that it is giving you that impression. But I think what I took from the movie is kind of Count Orlok being this looming predatory figure, and it's hard to see that as sexy.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be seeing that as sexy. No, you're probably
No.
under the right frame of mind for
Yeah.
thinking that way.
And there's a lot about sexual liberation, and so like not saying that Ellen is sexually liberated because she's not in terms of the
Yeah, 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 yeah.
society. But she does have like sexual experiences, and the whole thing is framed. The whole ending is framed around her sexuality
Yeah.
and things like that. So there is a lot of sexual undertones in the movie, but I just don't find them sexy because my interpretation is of Count Orlok as being a kind of groomer, predator kind of thing, like visiting her as a young. It's not so whether she's a child or a teenager, but too young for old man Orlok. Either way, visiting her, kind of grooming her into having sex with him,
Yeah.
and then claiming her, and that looms over her whole life.
Yeah, literally her whole life. She can never forget it, and it's kind of always there. It's that voice at the back of her head
Yeah.
telling her that anything she does is never going to be enough because it's not him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of trauma that comes from those situations. And then, so the ending as well, I just find really horrifying because it's the culmination of this old ass man's years of grooming consuming this woman. So it doesn't really feel very sexy to me. It feels more horrifying.
Yeah, which is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. Sorry, I don't find grooming sexy. I apologise if that's controversial.
I don't know, but it does give us that final shot. Is it the final shot
Which one?
on the bed?
Yeah.
The zoom up on the bed shot.
Yeah.
That is.
I don't think that. I'm not sure if that is no, the final shot is like Willem Dafoe holding a cat.
Ah, yeah.
Whilst he makes a little
yeah.
best scene. Although I
yeah,
said
Willem
I
Dafoe
didn't
better
love.
save that cat, mate.
Yeah, as much as I said I didn't love Willem Dafoe in this, him holding up a cat while he's looking in a mirror and looking out a window simultaneously. How's he doing this? And he's giving a monologue. Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that is good.
Sorry,
peak cinema. That is. Yeah.
Please continue.
I know. I was basically done. I just wanted to throw a little shout out to the bed shot because it's great.
Yeah,
it's a great little zoom out bed shot.
It is because it zooms out, like because when I can't remember Thomas.
Yes.
Enters a room, it seems like quite an intimate embrace that Orlok and Ellen are in. But then when it zooms out and it's just this rotten, decaying body, it's like, oh, okay, that's actually quite gross. This is not intimate as the scene is framed initially, because it's like quite close up. He's got his head like upon her bosom, and then as you zoom out, it's like, oh, this is quite horrifying actually. And I mean, I don't think anyone has come out of that film thinking, oh, what a tragic love story between Count Orlok and Ellen. But no, I don't think that's the case. I'm not saying that. I just think that I found it very hard to find this film sexy at all.
No, that's absolutely fair enough, and I can see why you wouldn't at any point find this film sexy for that reason. Yeah, if that's kind of where your brain first goes with everything, then it's immediately going to be like, well, I'm not going to assume any sexiness from this movie.
And I think that it was just really well told. Like, from that, as I say, that's just my interpretation. Interpret cinema art however you want. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But just from that interpretation, I completely forgot what I was going to say. So I never remembered what I was going to say.
We're just moving on. So this is it's done.
I lost my train of thought. It's gone forever. Godspeed wherever you are. So I think in conclusion, we didn't actually really talk that much about the plot, so you probably could listen to it spoiler-free.
I probably didn't spoil it, but
no.
oh well.
I mean,
they're gone now.
Yeah, they're gone now.
The people are gone now.
To be fair, I didn't really want it to be a plot recap. If you know the story of Dracula, you know it. If you don't, you probably do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So we'll move on to kind of conclusion, overall, closing thoughts, because this wasn't meant to be long.
No, it wasn't.
And I fear it is. So
leaving the cinema, I had thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I gave it a 9 out of 10 upon leaving the cinema. I've had a day to think about it, and it remains a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
There's my thoughts.
Nice. That was very nice and succinct. I can't guarantee I will have your brevity. Overall, I also gave this movie a 9 out of 10. As previously discussed, the point was docked for Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And I'm so sad about that because I do love him.
Yeah.
And I'm very sorry that I had to do that.
Justice for Quicksilver.
Justice for Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Also, if you haven't seen Chat Room, you should watch Chat Room. It's a great movie. I've lost my train of thought again. In conclusion, I gave this movie a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't feel long. I don't know if that's because of the editing or it's just really well shot or the characters are great or performance, whatever. It doesn't feel over 2 hours long.
The video.
Sorry. I would really recommend this film.